Now, you just heard Hattie mention the weather could make it problematic to actually see the solar eclipse on Monday afternoon, but millions of people are still going to try to catch what is certainly a once-in-a-lifetime event.
Yeah, to do that safely, though, you need the right gear or at least the right tactics. You need to take precautions. Here with more on the health risks that can be associated with doing it incorrectly is Dr. Mehra with SSM Health. It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
It's been a while. It's been a while. So we were just talking about how, okay, the moon's blocking out the sun. I can look up there. I can do this. It wouldn't damage my eyes, but this is something we're hearing over and over again before Monday hits.
Exactly. I mean, just like we were talking about, this is such a rare, spectacular event. We're all going to be so anxious to kind of look up in the sky, but this is a great time to remind people that we really need to wear protective eyewear. So not just sunglasses. Definitely don't look at it, with the naked eye. Don't look at it through a telescope or camera unless it really has that solar filter or sun filter on it. The reason is that even though there may be a moment where the sun doesn't look so bright to our naked eye and you think, wow, that's not painful, the UV light can still cause a lot of damage. And by damage, I don't mean just temporary. It can also cause permanent damage, where you're literally causing something called a solar retinopathy, or a hole in the retina. You're literally burning a hole in the retina. So we've talked about skin burn, sunburn, but now we're talking about eye burn. And so there are a lot of ways that you can witness this beautiful, rare event, but you definitely want to look at protective eyewear.
Yeah.
So the National Astrological Society does have a list of vendors that have very affordable eyewear that you can wear. And there is a moment called totality where the sun is completely blocked by the moon. Theoretically, at that moment, or that 3 minutes, you could look up at the sun without protective eyewear, but that too is only at certain parts of the country.
Right, and even just looking back and forth is
even looking
damage.
back and forth does have a cumulative effect. So basically, about a minute or minute and a half over and over looking at the sun without protective eyewear can cause that permanent damage.
I wanted to shift you to a topic that came up at the state capitol this week, that being a right to try piece of legislation, which basically allows individuals access to maybe drugs, devices that have not necessarily been fully vetted by the federal government. And I'm curious to know your thoughts on legislation like this. As a doctor,
right.
How do you view this?
So this is, there's pros and cons to every legislation that gets passed. So right to try is a very interesting proposal or bill that basically terminally ill patients would get an opportunity to access non-FDA approved medications or treatments. So of course you can imagine the pros here is that a family member, patient that is suffering with some really severe terminal illness would get an opportunity to try perhaps a medication, a drug, a treatment that's not on the market, not FDA approved. That may give them hope, that may give them possibly a cure, but of course there's downsides to that as well. One of them is that it may provide a false sense of hope. Another is the FDA is in place for a reason, of course, to make sure that things are safe, to make sure we're not doing more harm, and also to make sure that proper research and protocols and phase 1, phase 2 trials take place. And so there always is a fear that with a bill like this, that maybe that'll slow down research. Theoretically, if a patient does have a reaction, let's say, to a drug or treatment, people in the future may be cautious and say, we don't want to do a trial, and this could be a life-saving drug.
Should medicine be driven by hope, or should it be driven by fact?
Well, the scientific answer is, we always take an oath to do no harm as a physician. And so even though there may be tons of cures and treatments out there, we want to make sure we're doing it in the safest way possible. And so hope is what drives everything we do, to answer your question, but we want to do it in the safest, most scientific way possible.
It's going to be interesting to follow because it's coming up in Congress.
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
as well. All right. Dr. Mehra, good to see you.
Great to see you.
Thank you.
Always good to see you.